As an Atelier fan, Atelier Ryza 3 reminded me of the joy of final Ateliers. No matter which trilogy it's been, the final one always feels like the best to me. As the time Gus gets all the series mechanics just right, the characters all come together like a party, and things usually end on a big note where everything feels as it should, as the shiny cherry on top of a good trilogy. Atelier Ryza 3 is no different, except it feels like that but on a much bigger scale. With its world sprawling across multiple massive regions, Ryza 3 takes the spirit of exploration and turns it up to 100, featuring a world that warrants the existence of beasts to ride across it on, and ateliers to build in each area, as each locale could be its own adventure with the amount of quests and things to do in them. Because of this, I spent 84 adventure-filled hours in Ryza 3, getting to know new characters and towns in its interesting world, while also enjoying the growth scene and Ryza and friends in a new adventure, with this mystery full of keys, alchemy, and endings, making for a moving end to the secret trilogy. It's for these reasons you probably want to have played Ryza 1 and 2 to get the most out of Ryza 3, and as someone who has, I'm glad to say that Ryza 3 became the perfect finale to Ryza's story and made what feels like the most perfect Atelier game yet that has me excited for the future of the series. After the events at the end of Ryza 2, it was hard to imagine the story full of magic and surprises that Ryza 3 ends up giving, with a lot of this thanks to a new mechanic and part of the story that breathes new life into Ryza's world. This third adventure begins with the Kark Isles, a mysterious group of islands that appear just off Ryza's home of Kukin that interrupts their island life, a life where they make much less trouble than before and are able to use the skills they've learned on their journey to help make things better for the people of the village. These skills mean that they're also the only ones who can properly investigate these islands, that serves as the start of a new adventure in these islands on their doorstep. But as all good adventures should, things grow as they discover a mysterious door and key, with what lies behind it and mysterious voices promising to reveal the secrets of alchemy and why these islands have appeared, giving the adventurous group no choice but to explore. So with this, and moments that lead them to all new regions that promise to help them meet new friends and old, they set off on a journey with a mysterious key in hand to help their home in this epic end to an alchemy-filled adventure. Alchemy isn't the only thing back in Atelier Ryza 3, with its fast-paced battles and world feeling better than ever, as it takes you out of the ruins and into a wide, quest-filled world that makes Ryza 3 truly feel like an adventure. The appearance of the Kark Isles are a good introduction to the world scale, as these mysterious islands really are reflective of the world as a whole. I spent my first 20 hours there basically treating Ryza 3 like it was Atelier Skyrim, running around discovering things that I wouldn't understand what they fully were until many hours later, and doing all the smaller random quests that popped up with the promise that the money and SP I was getting would help me in the journey ahead. I ended up being surprised beyond the scope of this place though, as when I got back to things, an entire other region of places to explore on the same scale popped up that means even now I still have places I could explore over 80 hours later. The scale of these places is partnered with more than plenty of quests to do, from smaller ones from key characters to big world ones that really do fill in the blanks of the world, and each place in Ryza 3 feels like an area of its own, full of culture, problems, and things to solve that make it easy to fall in love with it and keep diving in as you adventure. A lot of these problems you'll help the people solve are either done with alchemy or combat, with both of them in their peak form, as the series finale makes them a joy to play with. Atelier's hallmark alchemy system in Ryza 3 is easily my favorite version of it, with it bringing back all the things I love from previous entries like item rebuilding, the item and mechanic unlocking skill tree, and gem reduction that lets you have a lot of control over what you can play with and build and how you use your materials and traits, but with extra sparkle from keys in this entry to make things even better that fits in well with the ideas of the secret trilogy, as it really does feel like unlocking each item's true potential. I had way too much fun upgrading my base items to try and make really good keys to use in my journey, to then have great ones to use on the items I needed to progress, and like the first two entries, I really could lose myself in the synthesis rabbit hole if I wanted to, because it's so easy to get into making items like your equipment be the best they can, and so satisfying when you get it just right. How good everything feels to use, and all the little features together like super traits and reinforcing equipment for that extra cherry on top really makes Ryza 3 feel like the definitive version of this trilogy's synthesis as it should, and I can only hope that things like item rebuild make it into future Atelier entries, as synthesizing in Ryza 3 just feels so good. Alchemy isn't the only place you can use keys though, as you can use them in the world to unlock treasure and extract new ones from landmarks, along with also using them for an extra edge in battle. battle. When it comes to battle, once again, Ryza 3 is using the tactics leveling system where you can level up the type of attacks you use as you quickly dish out damage in its fast-paced system, and once I got back into the swing of things, it felt really fun to switch characters in and out and enjoy the many colorful attack animations that occur when you follow the combat advice your companions give, and also to dish out a barrage of attacks when you use a key that lets you break the AP limit that makes the group feel really powerful. In fact, since I explored so much at the start of my journey, I was worried I'd end up overpowered too soon in mine, but for better or worse, enemies seem to scale as you play. That means every battle provides at least a little bit of challenge. You can also eventually make even the toughest of enemies squirm once you make your items good enough, which was kind of a relief as some of my battles at the beginning did feel like they ran a little long when I was fighting things like a regular Puni. But I also think this system helps emphasize that it's alchemy that's going to make Ryza as strong as possible, and encourages you to take advantage of the interesting recipes you find through things like keys and certain quests that makes each step and side trip you take on your journey feel worth it, all while letting you enjoy its smooth systems that flow and work well together once again. The reason I felt so comfortable taking my time and doing a bunch of quests in Atelier Ryza 3 was because of how much I loved its world that had me running to every character quest I could to eat up more of its story. In the Kark Isles, I was a little worried about its smaller character events, as while the first one I did added a little to the world, it was short and unvoiced, but this worry was something I had mostly forgotten about by the end, as the main story alongside the character and world quests all fit together to build a world that feels very deep by the end, and the important ones are voiced. That means a lot of the events make the world and relationships more enjoyable. For example, I ended up really loving the town of Sardonica, as not only was Federica a good character that fit well in the party, but its culture of crafting and the problems it faced with having two different crafts competing against each other are evident in its entire world quest, complete with small sets of conflicts, resolutions, and ends, and the way we got to know her relationships with the townspeople, along with seeing her grow, all led to the final end to this arc in Ryza 3's endgame moments made me feel like I was seeing an end to the story to a deep and interesting place that is only one part of this much bigger world. Thanks to the wealth of quests in Ryza 3, this can be said about everything, which is fantastic. Each character has their own arcs. Ryza's story explores her place in her small town and her family much more deeply, and by the end, seeing how the group's epic story ended felt like a deep and moving experience that made me glad for the many side moments I saw while filling my basket that helped to make my own Ryza 3 experience feel really special and like a very full story. I do kind of wonder how someone would feel about this story if they only played the main moments, but if it's your third game of the trilogy or you've played a few Ateliers, hopefully it means you're into the side event part of the series that means you can really enjoy the world building at your own pace that I think really makes the story shine, aside from it being an exciting conclusion to the Ryza saga. I'd encourage anyone who's enjoying it to definitely run around and do extra events to savor the world, as it really does make things shine brighter, and with the kind of world building experience in this one that made me not want to put it down, it makes me excited and hopeful that we'll see this kind of detail in story continue in future Ateliers. I've mentioned a few times that my Ryza 3 journey was over 80 hours long, and because of that, I'll be putting it down for at least a little bit, as I really tried to get my fill in my first playthrough, and the amount of quests I did let me do that pretty successfully. There is, however, plenty of replayability in it if I ever want to jump back in, and I think part of the reason I don't want to just yet is because I want to get it for Switch, because I can see this being the perfect game for when I have some time to kill. As I said, I had way too much fun getting my core synthesis items as good as I could that I'd be happy to do again, and while I'm pretty sure I finished most of the world quests it has to offer, there are still a few places I haven't unlocked on the map. That means there are probably character quests and other small ones waiting for me, along with the fact that random quests constantly pop up. That means I eternally have something to do in this game if I ever feel like messing around. Before I round up this review, there are maybe a few imperfections or things that could maybe be better in this game or the next trilogy that didn't bother me so much, but I thought I probably should mention after giving it so much praise. Some events are better localized than others, and while I didn't find many outright mistakes in the localization, bar a couple of typos, I feel like English voice acting really could help take things to the next level in the Atelier series, especially with some of the in-battle lines being very small and hard to read as you're busy dishing out attacks. Also, there were some fantastic pre-rendered cutscenes in moments of Ryza 3 that I would just generally love to see more of in Atelier. I hope that their inclusion in Ryza 3 means that this is something Gus will use more in future, although I also understand that the way things are now means that people can go through Ryza 3 pretty much using whichever costumes they like the whole way through. And I did at least appreciate the amount of improved facial expressions in 3, with little touches like furrowing of the brows at times being good additions that helped make the characters look more expressive. That is something I'm pretty sure producer Hosoi said he wanted to improve on between Ryza 2 and now. In spite of these things I noticed that could be improved on, I still absolutely adored this final trilogy entry and savored every minute of the world and feel like Gus did their best and beyond with the systems this world is based in. And I'm really excited to see what they'll do after the success of this trilogy and the fact that they've shown what they can do in a world this big that has me very much looking forward to the next entry in the Atelier series. Atelier Ryza 3 is the well-deserved great finale to the Secret Trilogy. It perfects its synthesis, adventuring, and battle mechanics just as a final Atelier should, except it feels like it's on a whole other quality level thanks to the vast and explorable world that they're in. This world feels just right to end the story for this group of adventurers too. We get to take this group that once only wanted to get off their humble island far and beyond in this final journey, with familiar faces making their party debut and new and old ones coming back to round off every story in this trilogy. And if you've enjoyed the story at all in the last 2 games, it's well worth coming back to in this entry, as it really does finish off everything that you could want it to. Best of all, it'll sit in my collection as the definitive version of the Secret Trilogy's mechanics, with the in-depth battle and synthesis at their best, and the addition of keys making it all feel very exciting. And this is all on top of having leftover things to explore even after spending so much time in this world, making me happy I stuck with everything to get to this fantastic finale that has me feeling that final Atelier feeling, along with a lot of love for Ryza's trilogy. It's the Atelier I've always wanted, with its intricate and smooth mechanics and many heartwarming moments with characters I love, and joins the Atelier series as another well-finished trilogy of Atelier games that has me very excited to see what the next alchemy journey will bring. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've played and finished Atelier Ryza 3, and if you have, tell me what you think of it. You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!